Evenings moved slower. People didn't rush inside as soon as the sun began to set. The day softened, and the neighborhood seemed to breathe out together. Front porches mattered. They were not decoration. They were where the day ended. You could walk down the street and see the same scene repeated over and over. Someone rocking gently in a chair. Someone leaning against a railing. Kids sitting on steps, swinging their legs without any real plan. No one was waiting for anything else to happen. This was the thing. We didn't call it quality time. We didn't name it. We didn't realize it was something special. It was just how evenings worked. The light faded, the noise disappeared, and people stayed where they were. I grew up believing that was normal, that the world naturally slowed down at dusk, that silence arrived on its own, without effort, that presence didn't need conversation to feel full. Every house had its own porch rhythm. Some families talked, some barely spoke, some just watched the street together, sharing nothing but the moment, and somehow, that was enough. In my house, the porch became a quiet agreement. When the day ended, that's where we went. No announcement, no schedule, just a shared understanding that the evening belonged there. My dad was always there before I noticed he had arrived. He didn't make noise. He didn't announce himself. He just appeared, sitting down like he had always been there. The chair creaked softly under his weight. That sound meant the evening had officially started. Everything else could wait. He wasn't the kind of man who filled silence with words. He believed silence had its own meaning. Sometimes he crossed his arms. Sometimes he rested his hands on his knees. He watched the street like he was keeping it company. Like it mattered that someone was paying attention. Like nothing needed to be said out loud. I learned early that sitting beside him was enough. I didn't need a reason. I didn't need a question. I could just be there. That was the rule, even if it was never spoken. Presence didn't require performance. It just required staying. Some evenings, he said very little. A comment about the heat finally breaking. A quiet observation about the sky changing colors. A nod toward a neighbor passing by. Short sentences that didn't ask for answers. They were not meant to continue. They were meant to exist. I didn't realize he was teaching me something. Not about work. Not about responsibility. But about how to be with another person. How to share space without filling it. How to let time pass without fighting it. How to stay. Back then, I thought he would always be there. In that chair, at that hour, at the edge of the day. I thought the porch and my dad belonged together. Like one didn't exist without the other. Like nothing could change that. As the light faded, the street slowly revealed its own routine. Cars stopped passing. Engines went quiet. Somewhere down the block, a garage door closed for the night. The neighborhood wasn't ending the day. It was settling into itself, like it knew this hour well. Every house had a sound. A screen door shutting gently, a radio playing low through an open window, dishes being stacked one plate at a time. Nothing loud, nothing urgent, just life winding down without being asked. Crickets arrived, like they were on schedule. First one, then another. Soon the air was full of them. Not noise, exactly. More like a reminder that the day was officially over, that it was safe to be still. From the porch, I could see small pieces of other lives. A neighbor watering plants, even though the sun was gone. Someone walking a dog that never seemed in a hurry. A couple sitting a few houses down, not talking much either. We were all separate, but we were all there together. Sharing the same quiet. My dad watched it all without staring. He didn't follow movement. He didn't track people. He just let the street exist in front of him, like it was enough to witness it, like being present was a kind of respect. I sat beside him and learned how to do the same. I remember thinking the world made sense at that hour. Nothing was expected of me. No one needed anything. There was nowhere else to be. The porch didn't ask questions. The evening didn't rush us. Everything felt exactly where it belonged. I didn't know then that these moments were shaping me, teaching me what calm felt like. What safety sounded like, what it meant to belong to a place without saying so. I thought this feeling was permanent. I thought it was just how life worked. I didn't imagine it could ever fade. As I grew older, the porch stayed the same, but I didn't. My legs got longer, my thoughts got louder. The world started asking more questions than before, but the evenings still pulled me outside, like a habit I didn't know how to break, like something unfinished calling my name. My dad never commented on the changes in me. He didn't ask where I was going in life. He didn't offer advice unless I asked. He trusted time to do its work. Sometimes he glanced at me just briefly, not to check me, just to see that I was there. There were nights when I wanted to talk. I didn't always know what about. Sometimes it was school, sometimes it was friends, sometimes it was a feeling I couldn't explain yet. He listened without interrupting, like the porch itself had learned how to listen through him. Other nights I stayed quiet. I watched the street instead. I let the silence hold whatever I couldn't say. He never pushed, never filled the gap for me. He understood that not everything needs words. Some things need space. I didn't realize those evenings were lessons, not spoken ones, not written down, but lived. Lessons about patience, about presence, about how love can be quiet and still be strong. Looking back now, I see it clearly. He wasn't teaching me how to talk. He was teaching me how to stay, how to sit with another person without trying to fix them, how to let time pass without fear. I just thought we were sitting on a porch. Somewhere along the way, the evenings began to shorten. Not all at once. Not in a way I noticed immediately. They just started slipping past faster than before. I had places to be, things to do, reasons to go inside early. Sometimes I told myself I would join him later, after I finished something, after I answered a message, after I took care of whatever felt urgent at the time. The porch waited patiently. It always had. I assumed it always would. My dad kept the same routine, same chair, same hour, same quiet presence. Even when I wasn't there, he sat outside anyway. As if the porch didn't depend on me to exist. As if it belonged to him in a deeper way. When I did sit with him, something felt slightly different. Not wrong, just thinner. Like the moments didn't stretch as far anymore. Silence came faster. Night arrived sooner. Time didn't linger the way it used to. I started noticing small changes. The chair creaked louder when he sat down. He adjusted his position more often. He stared at the street a little longer between blinks. Nothing alarming. Nothing that demanded attention. Just details I filed away without meaning to. We still didn't talk much. But now, sometimes, I caught myself wanting to remember, even while it was happening. A strange feeling I didn't yet understand. Like part of me already knew something was shifting. Like the evening was asking me to notice it. The house started to feel different during the day. Rooms that once felt full became quieter, not empty, just less occupied. Like they were waiting for something that no longer arrived on time. I spent less time there, even when I was home. I passed through instead of staying. The porch became something I visited, not something I belonged to. I sat there with him when I remembered, when nothing else felt louder, when the day finally let go of me. Those nights still mattered. I just didn't know how much yet. My dad never mentioned the change. He never asked why I came out less often. He never reminded me of what we used to do. He accepted the rhythm as it was. Like he understood that life moves people forward whether they agree or not. Like holding on too tightly would only break the moment. There were evenings when I joined him and felt a quiet relief. Like stepping back into a place my body remembered before my mind did. The chair, the air, the sound of the street settling. For a while everything lined up again, and then the night would end. I began to understand something without knowing how to name it. That moments don't disappear all at once. They thin out. They become less frequent, less predictable, until one day, without announcement, they stop happening at all. I didn't know we were approaching that day. If I had paid more attention then, maybe I would have stayed longer. Maybe I would have ignored the noise inside the house. Maybe I would have chosen the porch more often. But hindsight is quiet too. It doesn't interrupt. It just waits, like he always did. The last evening didn't feel different while it was happening. There was no weight to it, no sense of importance. It arrived the same way all the others had. The light faded, the street slowed, the porch waited. I sat with him without thinking much about it. We didn't talk about anything worth remembering. Nothing meaningful on the surface. Just a few passing words. A comment about the air cooling down. A quiet agreement that fall was close. Ordinary in every way. At some point, I stood up first. I said I was tired. Or maybe I said nothing at all. I don't remember exactly. He nodded the way he always did. No disappointment. No request for more time. Just acceptance. I went inside without looking back. The door closed softly behind me. I didn't pause. I didn't turn around. I didn't mark the moment in any way. Why would I? It felt like tomorrow would offer the same thing again. Life continued the way it does. Days stacked on top of each other. Responsibilities filled the space where evenings used to stretch. The porch still stood outside, unchanged, waiting without expectation. I passed by it many times, I just didn't sit down. It wasn't until much later that I realized something had ended. Not suddenly, not dramatically, just quietly, the way important things often do. I didn't know that night had been the last one. The absence didn't arrive all at once. It entered slowly, the way silence does after a sound fades. At first I noticed it in small ways. The chair stayed empty longer than usual. The porch lights turned on without anyone sitting beneath them. Evenings passed without pulling me outside. Something familiar was missing, but I couldn't name it yet. When I finally understood, it felt unreal. Like realizing a place you've known your whole life no longer exists. I stood on the porch alone one evening, unsure why I was there. The street looked the same, the air moved the same way, but the space beside me felt larger than it should have. To open, to quiet. I sat in his chair once, just to see how it felt. The wood was cooler than I remembered. The angle slightly wrong for me. I didn't belong there the way he did. That seat held his shape, not mine. I stood up almost immediately. Memories began returning without permission. Not in order, not gently. They came in fragments. The creak of the chair, the way he watched the street without staring, the calm that wrapped around those evenings like a promise. I hadn't realized how deeply it lived in me. I started to understand what those nights had given me. A sense of safety I carried into adulthood. A way of sitting with silence without fear. A memory of being seen without being questioned. He never told me these things mattered. He just showed me, over and over, until the showing stopped. Now, when dusk arrives, I notice it differently. I feel the instinct to sit and wait, to slow down, to listen. But the porch answers back with stillness. And I finally understand that what I lost wasn't the routine. It was the presence that made it whole. Time has a way of turning memory into a place you can return to, not physically, but quietly, without effort. I find myself back on that porch when life slows down just enough. In moments between noise, in the pause before sleep, in the calm that follows a long day. I see it clearly now, not as it was exactly, but as it felt. The warmth of the wood beneath bare feet, the steady rhythm of his breathing beside me, the street holding still, as if it understood the importance of the moment. These memories don't rush. They arrive when I am ready to sit with them. I understand now why those evenings stayed with me. They were never about the porch, or the chair, or the quiet street. They were about being allowed to exist without explanation, to be present without performing, to be loved without condition or demand. There are days when I catch myself doing the same thing, sitting outside as the light fades, watching the world slow down, saying very little, letting silence do the work. Words can't. I didn't plan to become him in that way. It just happened. Sometimes I imagine him beside me, not speaking, just there, the way he always was. I don't feel sadness in those moments. I feel something softer, a gratitude that took years to learn how to hold, a peace that came from those ordinary evenings. I finally understand what he gave me, not advice, not instructions, but a way of moving through the world, a reminder that presence is enough, that love doesn't always need to be loud, that some goodbyes teach us how to live. **** Part 10 **** Now, when the day begins to fade, I notice it the same way I always did. The light softens, the air cools, the street grows quieter. That moment still asks me to slow down, still invites me to stay, still feels familiar in a way I can't explain. I sit outside sometimes, even when there's no porch anymore, on steps, on a bench, anywhere the evening can find me. I don't bring much with me, no distractions, no need to fill the time, just the willingness to be present. I think about how easily we assume things will last, how permanence feels natural when we're living inside it, how ordinary moments hide their importance so well. They don't warn us, they don't ask to be remembered, they simply happen, and then, one day, they don't. If I could go back, I wouldn't change anything dramatic. I wouldn't try to make those evenings louder or bigger. I wouldn't force meaning into them. I would just stay a little longer, sit a little closer, notice a little more, and trust that was enough. What I carry now is not regret, it's awareness. A quiet understanding that presence is a gift, that sitting beside someone matters, that love can be shown without being spoken. that time is always moving, even when it feels still, and that's what makes it precious. I still remember waiting on the porch with my dad. I remember how safe it felt, how ordinary it seemed, how permanent it appeared. I didn't know what it was giving me back then. I didn't know it was goodbye, but I know now.